Hello, good morning. Today's the 29th of November 2023 and it's just gone 2 PM here in the UK, or 9 AM Eastern time, and we're going to go through my pre-market levels for MES, SPY, Qs, Nasdaq, oil and gold. Just a quick one to look at the news we've got before we start. Today we had news at 8:30, gap growth, and I'm just looking at the candle was a neutral candle, didn't move a great deal, but more red. So, but we've got quite a bit of news today. Oil at 10:30, and we've got a Fed speaker at 1:45. So keep an eye on that. A couple of Fed speakers today. So these can generally move the market around. So if you're trading oil, which we do look at oil stocks, just be wary at 10:30 today. Okay, so let's go to MES. This is the 1 hour time frame actually, and I've not really looked at the levels yet. I've just got back and look at that. So a level I had that's been there for a while in the pre-market, right up to the penny, touched it, rejected it. So we can keep an eye on that level today. That's 45.90. One area I'm watching for is this trend line. So let's just go back to the weekly again. So we've got this trend line from all-time highs, and then we had today's, this year's highs, July's highs, all-time highs, and now the SPY has hit the trend line. I think Qs have hit the trend line, but ES is the only one that's not, and that's where we are. We're just a little bit in front of it. So let's go down to the daily. You can see it a bit more clearly. So we're pretty much getting to that area, and that's where I'll be looking for a rejection, 4600, and that's my rejection level today. If we do break through that area, I'm just looking, so we've got 4620 through to 4634, so let's just put some levels there so we've got an idea. I'm looking for an area of confluence there. So if we get up in this area, we've got an area of supply. In fact, let's just change that to a supply zone because I like to see that. So it's going to have to be this candle here. So I'm looking from that entire area. So that's the area we're waiting for. We're in that area of supply. If I had to bring that down probably to about there. So that's the area we're looking for a reject, that entire shaded area between 4600 and 4634, and the idea is to wait for a confirmation candle. If we do get up in this area, up in this upper area here, I may just look to take a couple of short contracts, just layering a little bit, waiting for that reaction. But if we go back to the last time we had these reactions, back in December 21, as you know, we had this big reaction, we came up to it, then we created the trend line here in July this year, and we had this big reaction, and we've had this big push up, and interestingly, look at the volume, decline in volume as well. So this could be the area we could see a reaction. You know, we're going to get a pullback at some point, and if there's going to be an excuse for a pullback, then this trend line or this area of supply is that excuse for the pullback. As for volume, let's zoom in a bit. So you can see decline volume. We've got a big area of congested volume here. So potentially we could look for this area as our pullback area if we do see it on the daily. If we do break through, we've got this void below, no volume as well, and we can come into this point of control area. And this would be a healthier pullback. That's what we could be looking for, pullback that back down to there. So let's go to the hourly and get some levels for today. Other than the areas we just spoke about above the trend line and that entire area of supply, wait for confirmation candles is a wide area, so it's not something you can just short into. I'm going to be watching this trend line, 45.93, 45.95 area for a reject, and just put an alert when we get close to it. That's my alert to remind me to look to see. And I'm waiting for a confirmation candle or a rejection candle up here. So something like this, a big push through, like I say, let's just show you. So maybe we come up, we see a big tail, and then a big pullback, and then maybe the body of the candle, and then we want to go down there. Obviously, but I'll be looking for that in that zone area. Like I said, even though it's a trend line, and pretty much my levels are normally like this one, come in, touched it, instantly rejected it. They're normally pretty decent, you know, because I look at areas of confidence where and probably where lots of people are looking for. But it's a zone. We need to treat it like a zone. So even though it may come into that area, I really want to wait for a confirmation candle. But I'll play by ear when we get there. It's still, despite how extended we are on the daily, very extended. What's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 green days and just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red days. So we are due a bit of a pullback, and I can see it happening soon. And we're very extended. We're quite extended from the 200, the 50, the 20, and today even the 8 moving average. So we want to see it come back a bit, and maybe today could be that day we're looking for. Big push up and then rejection. But I'm going to play the chart and not play the news or my emotions, and just go with, and not go with what I think is going to happen, and go what I can see is happening. So that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to wait for the rejection level there, and that's the rejection. But it could also be equally as strong. I might want to push through them and push up. So if we grind up slowly to this level, then I may hold back on the rejection, maybe wait for confirmation. But if we see a big push up from the open, maybe 2 big wide range candles and maybe one with a topping tail as well, or something like that, then that may signify that we've got a lot of volume, and look for high volume as well coming into that area. I mean, there's a lot of people then are also short in that area as well if we see high volume and a topping tail. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for, that area, and we're almost there. We've been waiting for it for a while. So as for bounces, you can see the levels I've got drawn up. So I'm watching 45, 72, 50 for a bounce, and basically it's an area where it's top of candle, not quite the top of the wicks, but the top of the bodies of candles. There's more touches of the candles here. We kind of wicked through there yesterday, and we've got a bit of confluence there. So if we come back down to 45, 72, 45, 70 area, I'll be looking for a potential bounce to continue that move. Same if we get down to 45, 66, that's a level from yesterday as well. So tops of candles, confluence, bottoms of candles, tops, confluence, and now the bottoms of candles here. So if we come back down to that area, so these are the 2 areas I'm waiting for. We've got the point of control, which is this fulcrum of the volume point of control, the VPOC, what you want to call it. Just here as well, this could act as natural support. So if we do come back down to that area, we could have potential natural support, and we've got our area for a stop loss. We could put the stop just below that area. So I think that's it really. If we do see a biggish sell-off, you know, obviously I like to be involved in it from up here, but we've got areas of, you can use these areas as targets as well. But also we've got another bounce area at 45.52. Again, area confluence, tops of candles, not quite the bottoms there, but bottom of candles, a failed breakdown, and then that 3 bottom tails coming into that area. So if we come back down to this area, 45.50 to 45.52, plus we've got the 200 moving average coming into that area, and it's a sloping moving average as well, which will hopefully see a bit of a bounce in that area. So that's the areas I'm really watching for. And again, got some levels from the last few days, last week as well. I quite like a bounce if we get down through this void, 44.20, 44.30 area. That's probably a long way off, but not impossible to get down today. But also I quite like this area as well. So 4,500, 45.06, round psychological number. So these are kind of the areas I watch, all for bounces, because I still want to play the trend until the trend is not the trend anymore. And while we're still trending above the 200 and the 50 on the hourly, where is it on the daily? We're well above on the daily. We still got to be thinking about long plays rather than short plays. Short plays are the scalps, long plays until we, you know, once we close below the 50, then that's when all the smart money changes there. direction in the market, and we might see another leg down. But we're well away from closing below the 50. If we do, that will probably be a bounce area anyway, and you can see the 50 starting to curve around now as well on the daily. So that's it really, just some quite easy levels for today. A couple of topping tails in, maybe we talked about the zones where this downward trend line is. Maybe that is the zone for the downward trend line here, and maybe that is the top. And it did come into a previous level of ours as well, 45, 90, 25. And where's that level come from? Let's go back to the daily. It was an area of confluence from July, and I think it would have been around that area there, bottoms of candles. So that shows that confluence works even from months ago as well. I don't have the daily sharp on the hourly. Here we go, let's look at the 4 hour. So 45.90, so here we go. So that's probably where I drew it from. Tops of candles, where there's most touches of candles. Tops, bottoms, bottoms, bottoms and tops. And it's just below the this area of supply as well. And there you go, so pretty much spot on that level. So back to the hourly, and that's it really. So there's nothing more to talk about on that one. SPY is going to be very similar. If we go to SPY, I'm just going to draw the trend line, as I don't think I had it. Let's go to daily. Oh, it's daily. I've removed it because it's invalidated. So you can see we've already hit the trend line on the SPY. So that's, or we're kind of, hang on, I'll leave that there. We've not really closed convincingly above it. So maybe the SPY is eating time off the clock, waiting for the ES. Going to the ES daily, because it's not quite there yet. So maybe the SPY is waiting for ES to catch up. So let's look at Qs or NASDAQ. Let's draw the trend line in, and the daily. Just more out of interest. So end of November. I know it's gone through because I've already seen. So the Qs are looking stronger. It's gone straight through that trend line. Not the only NASDAQ, and the Qs will be the same. So no. So let's get some levels for SPY. So it looks like we could be waiting for ES. So ES is the only one yet to touch the trend line. On SPY, I quite like our similar levels we had before, 45, 458.23 for a reject. That's coming off the tops of July's highs. That's an area of confluence in July's highs by the looks of it. Yeah, so tops of those two, that double top there, and the tops of candles there as well. And potentially you could watch for this pivot here as well, 459.50 area. So there are areas to watch for, and it's obviously an area of supply, daily supply as well. With same for ES, but also for SPY, we could also watch for the break and retest of the pre-market high, which will be 457.60. So that's another level to watch for. And again, I say break and retest long because we're in an uptrend and it's still looking like it wants to push up still. Bounce wise, similar levels we had before. I quite like the bounce here at 456.20, coming off of those two pivots, but a better area would be down at 455.50, 450 area, that area there, probably 455.50 for a bounce. And again, if we get back down to this area, 451.50 is another bounce area. Okay, that's it for SPY. Qs. So we're looking at daily. There's also Q's volume like on the daily as well. So it is declining, but not quite as evident as it is for SPY or ES. So levels on Qs. We've got a double top rejection, 393 area, and a potential looking at daily, let's go back to hourly, that's better. Yeah, so I quite like the break and retest of this pivot and pre-market high. And if we can pull back, bounce around that area there, which is 387.80, 387.79, and we've obviously got the bounce at 383.69, and we've got the 200 moving average coming into play as well in that area. Look at Nasdaq. I'm only going to go over these briefly because we've got 10 minutes, 12 minutes till the open. Nasdaq, as we know, is broken above that level. A couple of potential reversal candles forming now. A higher volume on that one is what we'd like to see, but that's probably the 8:30 data candle, so I'm ignoring that for now. Look at that, straight into that pivot from Wednesday last week. So we could watch for a double top there at 16,172. I quite like the bounce at 16,078. You've got 1600 point of control, so this area here as well, and that's probably an area I think I prefer. This area 1600 bounce, nice round number, and probably higher probability as well onto the 200 and the 50 moving average. So probably just one watch here, the bounce of 1600 and the break and retest of 16,172. Okay, two areas to watch. And obviously if we get down to this area, back down to the trend line, what we drew in, 15,900 is a potential bounce area as well. But then if we get through these bits here, we may be looking, you know, this treble bottom, we may be looking at a change of trend as well, so be wary. Oil, let's go back to the daily, see how it's looking. Look at that beautiful inverse head and shoulders, we've been talking about this. So we're right at the point now. It's either going to validate the head and shoulders pattern by breaking above it, pulling back, and that'll be an entry for a swing or a day trade, or it's going to come back down and invalidate it totally, and it's just going to prove it's just in it's a funny downward trend and a bit of a rest few days. But look at that, could be the perfect head and shoulders pattern we could be watching for. So just keep an eye on that. Let's put an alert in because I want to be involved if it breaks over that level. 78 is the level. My alert's in, it's just over 78. I'll play this, but I just want to be notified if we get above it. So that's the play to watch for. If we do reject that area, then we've got the bounce area along here and the bounce area here. But I quite like the inverse head and shoulders pattern. That's beautifully set up as well. So 74 bounce and 72 bounce, they're the two areas to watch for. Okay, and then gold, glorious gold. We're on the daily at the moment. Well, gapped up today. We were watching for a break of this area and it hasn't pulled back. So if you took the break out, congratulations, you did a cracking job, and you're right up here now with gold. I want to wait for it to come back down. I found gold has been one of those ones which I've been wanting to get in since we were down here, and I've been wanting to get in since we pulled back here. I was watching it quite a lot here for this squeeze, which I was hoping it to break out. It didn't happen, and I'm late again on it, but not too high. I've got a lot of things going on at the moment, so I'm just keeping an eye on stocks. But it's nice to see, you know, ideas we've had over the last few months are coming out now. So we're potentially looking for a rejection here at 2085. Last time we rejected, we saw this reaction, and that's a high volume candle there as well. We've got decline in volume, a bit like we've seen on the SPY, decline in volume. So maybe it's either grinding up volume, which will decline and it'll just carry on while it keeps going up forever, or we're just going to start seeing a bit of weakness come in and it's going to pull back again. Like we said on MES, a nice healthy pullback back down to that area will be a possible entry. That's a daily for a swing. Let's have a look for today for a intraday. Oh yeah, so potentially we've got a gap fill. So potentially if we can break down below this area, pull back, and we could see it come back down, retest, fill the gap. As we know, gaps like to fill eventually. if you see further weakness, we've got a bounce area down here at 2014, which we just discussed. So I'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to put an alert on here, but this could just also be a buy setup as well. To do an alert on chart, I press and hold down the Control and Alt button at the same time, so I can just move the mouse. Rather than putting alerts on there, I can just then choose an area I want to get the alert. So probably if it gets down to that area, an alert. And then if it gets down to this gap fill, I want to be alerted as well. I've got my alert already set up for this area. So, and if it's going to continue to trend up, which it looks like it might do, a breakout of this area, which is 2063. So we're looking for a possible breakout. You've got to get above that VWAP. So we can break that pivot. We've put, see where we end here. We put in a bottom. Is it going to put in a higher low and do something like that? So it's worth keeping an eye on. So the breakout here to watch, 2064. Okay, that's it. I'll quickly go through the levels and MES again. They're quite basic and simple. If, more likely when now, we get into this trend line, we're very close to it. I'll be looking for potential rejection. Just go back to the hourly. Rejection with confirmations. We are quite close to it, but it's a major weekly trend line. This entire red zone is a area of supply, so I'll be looking for a possible reversal in that area. It's a big range from 45.95 to 46.29. So it's about a $35 area. So look for a confirmation area within that zone. You know, for a rejection. So I'm looking for it to spike through, come back down, and maybe put in a bit of a candle like that on high volume as well. And maybe even if I miss it, I'll be looking for it to come back up to make a double top in that area and retest the trend line again. I've got a couple of, that's the rejection, the only rejection I think, because it's still an uptrend. I also quite like a couple of bounces. My favourite bounce is where we've got this point of control, this area here. So it's got high concentrated volume, tops of candle, bottoms, bottoms, tops, tops, and it's a high volume area, congested area of volume, coming into the 50 moving average as well. So I quite like the bounce at 45.64. I may consider 45.72, 45.75 as a bounce as well, based on this area here, and didn't quite make it, but when it came back down to that area. So they're the two areas to watch for. If I had patience and I wanted to wait a few days, I quite like this bounce area down at 45.40, this area here for a bounce, possibly also 45.50 as well. So these are the immediate bounce areas, that bounce area there, that bounce area there. If you break down further, that bounce or this bounce, and of course we've got this bounce. So we've got a few bounce levels to watch for. And again, if we're seeing weakness, that they also double up as break and retest low areas. So not just bounces, but a bounce is higher probability because it's with the trend, and the reject or the break and retest short is a higher risk because it's against the trend. So that's more of a scalp play down. I think